Good morning and welcome to Resolutions for Recovery. This show is dedicated to the education and empowerment for all those struggling with substance use disorder. Last week, my special guest Maureen Rossi and I, we were talking about recovery housing. So we're not going to call it sober housing anymore. We're going to call it recovery housing. Whether anybody wants to agree with me or not, I really don't care because it's my show and I can say that. And these two ladies that are with me today, we're going to call it recovery housing because people are in recovery. It's not sober or drunk, it's not clean or dirty, it's not good or bad decisions, it's new language that we really do have to use. So today I'd love to welcome Lauren McNamara and Danielle Bruchet. It's actually Brushy, but I'm going to call her Bruchet because that's you're French.
Exactly.
So, and these two young ladies run the best sober living, I just said it, recovery housing on Long Island as far as I'm concerned, my humble opinion. Your houses are beyond anything that, you know, when you walk in, you're home. And I love that. I just love that when people are there, it's a living, it's family. And I think that's the key word that we want to say. It's family. It's not a place to stay while your loved ones don't welcome you home after treatment. It's your family. How do you guys feel about that?
Exactly. I think, you know, for us, that's really what we envisioned in creating New Hope Rising and creating the programs for our recovery houses, because when you walk in, that's the environment that we want someone to be walking into, to a home-like environment. Exactly what you just said, you know, we try to stay away from that verbiage, you know, sober living, because really what happens in between those walls is recovery,
yes,
is life. So that's really, you know, as far as recovery housing, that's what happens.
It's life. It's life with new boundaries. Life with really no boundaries, but living it on life's terms, not secluding yourself, not so many things. You know, when we talk about somebody struggling, clean urine, dirty urine, positive or negative sounds just so much more empowering for everyone concerned. Healthy decisions versus not healthy decisions instead of good or bad, or a person is good or bad. A person is either struggling or they've embraced recovery. So I think we're all battling something. So I think we have to just use more compassionate language for everybody.
Absolutely, because especially even, you know, with you mentioning that there's already so much stigma and shame and remorse and guilt, you know, for someone entering into recovery or that early recovery process. So again, to throw out other, you know, words like negative, bad, you know, it's really reinforcing that shame and guilt that they're already experiencing, and it's not meant to be a punishment, you know.
It's not a punishment, you know, and so many people, parents will say, well, I'm making them go to a sober. Like, that's not a bad thing, yeah, right? Because our home environments may be a very big trigger for certain individuals. You know, there came a time for Thomas that I did say, you know, this doesn't work for us at home. It's not working for our dynamics. You need more structure, which is really what I felt, you know, and he needed to learn different structure. And that's, you know, and some people unfortunately don't have a place to go back to. Or, as I always like to say, some families say, it's not my problem. I'm not changing anything we do at home. So is that a safe new place for someone developing resiliency skills? So, you know, when you walk into your house and the girls are all, it's like a sorority house.
It's funny you say that. One of our neighbors was like, I don't know what's going on there, but it's like a sorority house. So too, and even with the neighbor saying that, we could even see like they don't really associate it with it being something negative. What they see is a family unit or a sisterhood that's really created within that environment.
Isn't that a beautiful? I love that.
Absolutely.
Sisterhood, a brotherhood. Yeah. You don't get through substance use by yourself. You don't go through life by yourself. So everybody needs somebody, right?
Absolutely.
So it's so nice to see all the young women, you've been there a little bit longer, reach out to a newcomer and just show them the way. How many houses do we have now?
4. We have 2 female houses and then 2 male houses.
Okay. How many more are coming?
We're not sure about that yet.
Okay.
So
okay.
we would love to see, a mother and child house
that's
would
our
be able
biggest,
to be.
and actually we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
But not today, but we're gonna plan something there because I think that's such a big need on Long Island, in the country. How do women go into recovery when you have young children? You can't. So mothers in recovery, not in recovery, have a problem with substance use, you don't get any time to yourself. You have given up. Really, when you become a mother, your heart walks outside your body. So you are required, and it's the best choice in the whole wide world, right? For me, anyway.
Yeah.
But you put them first. All their needs come first. So how can we reunite and get women stronger, healthier, happier, and have really resilient kids moving forward?
And to just have more options. When there's no options there, how can you really expect people to really be able to recover?
Yeah.
If they don't have the same options that people without children have,
Yes.
To have that sense of community. Because one of the things that's so great about recovery housing is that sense of community. It's feeling a part of something. They feel, yes, a part of, like a family unit, like within the program, but even just feeling like a part of the community.
Yes.
Living in a regular looking house. It's not a facility, that's really like in the community and living there. And when you have mothers with children that don't have that same opportunity, like, that doesn't allow for them to recover, for their children to have any stability. So it really is so important. And I think that it is something that, down the line we would like to...
Because, what's the alternative then? Other family members having young children, or they're in the foster care system. Yeah. How does that build bonding between a mother and a child? Listen, if a child needs to be removed, that's one thing. But how do you rebuild those? How do you teach someone how to be a mom again if they've lost that sense of connection to their kids? We have Morningstar that's in Dix Hills, but 9 beds, I want to say. Is there 9?
It's limited amounts.
9 beds for a population of, I don't even know what, in Nassau and Suffolk County. And I'm grateful for the 9 beds, but really, that's a mother-child. That's not a mother-child program. That's a lottery at the finest level. If you get picked there, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. We see it all the time for women entering, even into our recovery housing programs, that they're not able to be with their children, and even for those that aren't even able to get to us or even any other recovery housing options because it's presenting as a barrier.
Yeah.
Or again, just to be able to give them the opportunity to be in an environment that's going to foster those relationships, that they're able to continue to be a mother to their child while having the opportunity to learn how to maintain that balance of their recovery, but also being mom, because mom's full-time.
Mom doesn't get a break. And sometimes children are very challenging. So again, how you used to handle maybe stress, because now really in today's world, it's no secret. The PTA moms driving around with the red cup, going to all kinds of sports activities for their kids, and they're all drinking. The wagon with the cooler on Halloween. It boggles my mind that you feel you need to show up in your kid's life in an altered state. It's not good. And the Xanax moms, because there's a lot to handle. Working, listen, when women got a lot of equality, I think we got the short end. When everybody thought we could work full-time, raise children full-time, be a full-time wife, housekeeper, all of those things, it's very difficult to do all of those things without help.
And we see all that, and that's probably one of the biggest gifts that we bear witness to is, a mom making that choice for herself, for her recovery, really, which in the end, she's making that decision also for her children or child. And, seeing her come into, recovery, our recovery housing programs or, wherever, again, entering into recovery and seeing that family reunification process occur. And just, again, that's one of the biggest gifts I think that we're able to bear witness to, because not only, is it impacting her life coming into recovery, it's impacting her children's life.
When you educate a family, though, on what substance use is, and then they start to realize, at whatever age they are, it doesn't need to be clinical, it doesn't need to be anything like that, but when kids understand that their mom is fighting a battle, they're pretty proud of their parents, right? They are.
Absolutely.
And they want to embrace that. They're not ashamed of it. Just like any parent that would be fighting any other disease. But that's the whole family piece. So when you strengthen the family and educate the family, they can stand in a recovery system much better than trying to be isolated and do it all by yourself. And of course, those children too are going to be at such a much higher propensity for substance use. Left uneducated, the genetic aspect of it is going to be huge. And what they've been exposed to. So how much do we spend at Costco every week?
Well, we are BJ's #1 customer.
Oh, okay.
So I
knew
will
it was
say
one
that.
of them.
Yeah. We really are their #1 customer, though. And, ever since we found out that information, we don't let them live it down.
Good. Well, I would hope that they do something else for you.
They are. BJ's, the Bellport location has been extremely gracious, with us and helping us out, especially when we're having events or even when we recently opened our new women's recovery housing program. They were gracious enough in donating, basically our first huge food shop to ensure that the house, was stocked.
That was really nice.
Wow.
But you can ask any of our house managers. That's their favorite time to go food shopping.
When we were there, and to see the huge refrigerators, you have the pantries downstairs. So every day, if someone cooks dinner, do you have a rotating schedule for the residents?
Yes, there's a schedule where they take turns cooking, and what's really great about that is that for the women or men that don't know how to cook, they get to learn, while they're there. So that's a life skill gained. So it's really nice to see, again, just like that family unit like coming together and eating together. We call it community dinner Monday through Thursday. We have that. But the really important thing about like food in recovery housing is that no matter what someone's resources are, like they always have food, and that adds like another level of stability and like security, that they're not worrying about like where their
where their
food
next
is
meal is coming
exactly
from. And what do I have to do for my next meal? Which is we have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
That there are people that have been out on the street and that's really how you guys started, right? You worked in a homeless shelter?
Yeah. We were both working for a single men's homeless shelter in Riverhead. And, even there we saw, the shortage of options for safe, for recovery housing for men. And at that time, even more so for women. And the options as far as housing, that we were sending, our clients to, we saw even too with the limitations as far as having food, necessities for life, being able to go into housing, and again just having that necessity of having food, toiletries, even basic things as far as bath towels,
a bed,
exactly,
linens. So all that is provided.
Yes. So
they just have to bring their clothes.
Just their clothes.
And sometimes that gets provided too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the one we say to limit your clothing.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunately, there's so many people that have really gotten there's a lot of hurt in the world. And maybe we don't want to recognize that on Long Island, but we have a very huge population.
Yeah. And you can see even whether they're coming from, they have a supportive home to return to, just like with, a lot of times with children in foster care, they're going to their next homes, with nothing but a garbage bag.
Yeah.
So even try to keep, a lot of luggage, extra luggage, because quite often people are coming to us, straight out of treatment, detox, or other living arrangements. That again, to even be able to move your stuff with some dignity and not have a plastic bag, full of clothes, to be able to have your own luggage.
It's incredible when you think about it. In today's day and age, that people, the richest country in the world, we should be able to we know better, we have to do better. We have to do better. So what's your requirements to get into one of your homes? And you can stay for up to a year, right?
Yeah, you can stay up to a year, sometimes longer if, someone's working on their goals, whether it be to secure permanent housing, employment, vocational goals. So that really depends. But generally, it's up to a year. So some of our requirements is that they have to be willing to participate in a 12-step program. Mm-hmm. They have to be able to come in to pass a drug screening. Okay. The only time that we will accept anyone with a positive drug screening is when they're coming straight from a detox program. Okay. Because a lot of times with the medications and detox protocols, they'll be coming up positive.
Okay.
And we always ask, and these are questions that we ask during our intake process. Why do they want to come to recovery housing? What do they hope to gain? Are they willing to be an active participant in their recovery process?
Do you allow medication-assisted treatment?
Not at this time.
Not
Vivitrol.
Vivitrol, a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, once-a-month shot. I guess you would have to store all that medication and have someone be able to dispense that?
Yeah, we respect all pathways to recovery. Mm-hmm. Just unfortunately at this time, we wouldn't be able to accommodate that. Already, recovery homes aren't regulated, and there's not a lot of support. So then for us to have that, additional guidelines of even, with medication management and so forth, it's just not anything that we've been able to do. So
let me ask you, how do you feel about regulation of recovery housing?
We hope that it'll be in existence quite soon.
Okay. Are you on any of the committees for it within Suffolk County? The big thing is, who's going to regulate it? Is it New York State Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse? Is it our local government? The local government can make sure that your house is suitable and up to code. But what goes on in there, they really don't care much. Right?
There's a limit to what
there's a limit to
what they can do and what their jurisdiction is.
Is it the Suffolk County Department of Health, the Nassau County? What would you love to see?
I think it's been so back and forth with, certain government bodies, not, necessarily not taking responsibility, but kind of the finger pointing game. Yeah. Where it's somebody else's responsibility. Yeah. But the fact is, right now, it's no one's responsibility. And the only people that are really paying for that is a very vulnerable population for individuals, in recovery from a substance use disorder, or who are at least, walking into what is supposed to be a recovery home. Yes. And is not met with that, of just the basic necessities or expectations of, again, walking into what is supposed to be a recovery home. So it should really turn away from the, finger pointing game and really apply towards a real solution. Why is there regulations for mental health housing, or other populations, but not this, especially in our times right now? Because it should be like any other group home and the expectations thereof, right? And there's a lot of substandard players in the field. Was that a nice way that I said that? Yeah, I think so.
I try because, listen, we still have a big problem with body brokering, sending people out of state, a very vulnerable population, and saying, oh yeah, no worries. And you really have no idea where your loved one's gone, and extorting money. And we have that with sober living too. It's crazy. There is a house, I believe, in Dix Hills. They want $5,000 a month or something.
There's really no words for that, because that's not recovery housing, at least in our perception or version. Because even for us, it's a stretch even for, what our program fee is, recognizing it needs to be enough, especially with providing, the necessities as far as, food, laundry detergent, even additional services. But to hear, somewhere from $5,000 a month, then down to, other options when, again, they're not even getting
And
certain
sometimes,
necessities.
yes, because a lot of times they will take their social service benefit, right, for housing, and they get no food. So if someone has taken their whole benefit and they have $100 in food stamps, you're not eating for the month.
I know.
So there's just so much, again, shame and stigma, and taking advantage of a very vulnerable population that really can't, they have no other options a lot of times.
And even for people that, do happen to have, the wherewithal to want to make a complaint or to, say something, who do they call?
Who do they call?
And that's the problem with there not being any oversight and regulation.
Yeah.
Is that there is no one to turn to other than, maybe someone's breaking like a town code.
Yeah.
There really is not much, protection for, again, a population that is very vulnerable, for a lot of reasons.
Which is so sad.
Yeah.
Because what we do hear about is we don't hear all the great stories of recovery housing. We hear the ones that someone overdosed and passed away. And those are all very tragic stories. But how do you see, was there not enough oversight at the house? My thing is always, there's still someone sick and struggling and made a poor choice, right? They let their disease took over them. So how do you guys feel about all of that?
Even with taking or seeing where some of the glitches may be or really gaps, we look at that, and at least for us, we try to change things for the better, So listen, unfortunately, overdoses, it can happen anywhere. I can tell you even last night, one of our female house managers did a Narcan training for both the female residences, So again, just trying to stay more in the solution and to be prepared, and also to educate, even if not in the house, but at least, someone walking in, they're
Yes.
now Narcan trained.
They're Narcan trained, and they should be Narcan. Everyone should be Narcan trained. That's, and it's really kind of it's not a huge training, right? It's pretty self-explanatory, but just to have that kit that could save a life.
Absolutely.
Because you never know.
And not even necessarily, again, it might not be a resident in the house, but again, just even within being in recovery and knowing, maybe a friend is struggling with active addiction, or walking up to, a public food restaurant.
Absolutely. A gas station.
Exactly.
A stoplight. I mean,
A stoplight. It's happened everywhere, that people are just, I remember at a gas station, it wasn't me, a good friend of mine, beeping the horn for like somebody to go, and they were out on their steering wheel. I mean, that's the reality of what we're dealing with in today's world. People want to think that we're living in this little bubble where it doesn't happen out on the road.
Yeah.
People drink and drive. People smoke pot and drive. People do Xanax, do heroin, do opiates, and drive. So be careful what you wish for in the state of New York, because you may just get it.
And even with that, that's why we've really tried to engage, even for our residents, in getting trained to become a certified Narcan trainer. Because a lot of times, let's say a gas station attendant, he's not going to be taking his time maybe to go out to a training that's offered within the community. Right. But again, even having like those personal connections within your own community, the gas station attendant down the corner,
Right,
the
7-Eleven.
deli clerk.
Right.
Showing them how to
Busboy,
use it so
waiter,
they can-
waitress,
yeah.
whoever it may be. And it doesn't, people, you know, unfortunately, the stigma goes the other way. You could be on pain medication, right? And accidentally, we have a much older population, right? A senior population that is on pain meds for the right reasons, or, you know, that they're prescribed, but they can overdo that. They can, you know, or they're unfortunately also struggling. So you need to know, wherever you may be. You never know when you can save. It's like being CPR trained and being a babysitter, right? You need to know how to bring, stuff happens, life happens every day of the week. That's for sure. So can you share like a great success story? How many years have your houses been open?
This year it'll be 5 years. Yes.
That's
So
a
it's
biggie.
like-
July. That's our birthday.
That's your birthday, so we having a big party?
Yes, we are.
Good.
Yes, we're going to be planning something for July.
How many alumni come back and are actively involved? Because I love this.
Yeah, well, every Monday night we have our in-house regular self-help meetings, so they're either alternating, you know, speaker meetings or literature meetings. So every week, some of our alumni come back to the house, whether to bring in the meeting or to actually speak themselves.
Okay.
And it's a great thing to even, you know, walk in one of the houses at any given time and see like certain alumni that, you know, are there giving back their time.
Yeah.
You know, because again, like I was saying before, that really that's where the connections are made.
Well, part of, especially if you follow a 12-step program,
Yeah.
part of recovery is giving back,
Exactly.
right? What was so freely given to you. So I just also think that it just makes people happy when you don't think about yourself all the time.
Okay.
It just makes you a happier person, right? To be able to do that for someone else. And that connection, and you know, be a sponsor, take someone, drive someone someplace if they need to.
Absolutely. So even, you know, when somebody is coming into the house, a lot of times what phone numbers were given out are, you know, women that we've met along the way, you know, that still, you know, continue to this day to come back and do service. Because again, that's the way that it works.
We're going to be right back with these two beauties in a minute.
One, two, three. Long before my dream of playing professional football became real, addiction impacted my family and nearly destroyed it. As a New Yorker, I can tell you that all our communities are being hurt by addiction. New York State is leading the fight in combating addiction, providing help and treatment regardless of your ability to pay. For more information, visit combataddiction.ny.gov. Growing up as a young kid when addiction was around was tough. You know, it was, you know, at the time, you know, I felt like it was unfair. I had to grow up quick. You know, at the age of 11, my father left the house after, you know, a couple months after I found drug paraphernalia in their nightstand. You know, and it was a tough reality to face as a young kid. And, you know, there were good days and bad days, but there were a lot of bad ones. You know, after my father left, you know, we got kicked out of homes. You know, there were people in and out of my house, and I didn't understand, you know, why did this happen to me? You know, why did my parents have to be addicted to drugs? Yeah, going through recovery was a long road. You know, when I was a senior in high school, my mother went away to prison. You know, I had to go through my college recruiting by myself. I had to go off to college. You know, my friends' parents took me to college. And so it was tough going through those times. But when my mom decided that she wanted to change her life, she wanted to get help. You know, my mom got sober in prison. She got out of prison and gave up drugs and regained her relationship with God. My mother works for the church now, and we have a great relationship. I tell her every time I talk to her how proud I am of her and what she's accomplished. You know, she's a tough woman. She's been through a lot, but the things that she's done after prison have been amazing. You know, I'm so proud of her. She got her associate's degree. We have a great relationship. She's a great grandmother to my nieces and nephews, to my children. She's always there for me when I need to talk to her, and we have a great relationship. For a while, it looked like, you know, when you're in it, when you were in the addiction part of it, I never thought my mom would be the same. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can change your life, you can get help, and you can have a better life and regain those relationships and have a positive effect on those people around you. You know, I look at, you know, when I go through tough times in my life, I ask myself, what would my mom do? Because my mom has been through, you know, I always say my mom has been to hell and back, and she's doing great, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm proud of her. My father as well. You know, I didn't have the best relationship with my father. When he left the house when I was 11, he left us with no car. I didn't speak to him for 3 years, and that was probably the toughest time of my life. But we gained that relationship back. My father's been clean for 3 years. His health is doing better. He's trying to be a better grandfather, trying to be a better father. And, you know, I forgive him. And our relationship is, you know, we're back communicating, and I love it, you know. I tell him I'm proud of him as well, because it's a tough circumstance. You know, it's easy to look at someone who's in addiction and blame them, and blame them for the choices they make. But it's the drugs, it's the alcohol that have a hold of them. And it's not, they don't want to be in that position. You have to understand that. They don't want to be making these decisions. They don't want to put these people in jeopardy. They want to get help. But once they decide to get help and to do something about it, there's great things that can happen at the end. Yeah, recovery is possible, and it happens to a lot of people. You know, you'd be surprised at how many people are in recovery right now that went out and got help. People out there that want to help you if you're in recovery. You know, there are people all over who you have no idea went through, they've been affected by it. You know, whether it's a family member, a friend, themselves personally, if they went through addiction. There are a lot of people that are going through issues that you've been through. So don't be afraid to ask for help. There are a lot of resources out there that can help you and get you the right treatment and to get you back on the road to recovery.
For recovery. So I just said I'm a little fuzzy today. I finally had my surgery on my wrist, and I'm not quite on totally. Pretty good. But we were just talking. So Lauren, good house for recovery, not so good house for recovery. What should, you know, especially, I think parents want to know that their loved ones are safe, and any loved one wants to know that where they're sending their person, they're going to be okay. So you mentioned the word transparency, and I love that word. So explain what that means.
Sure. So one of the things that, you know, we feel is really important, and we try to stay away from like a good house versus a bad house. But, you know, that being said, some of the positive things, you know, that we really try to implement are, again, you know, having things be transparent and open for our residents and their families. So making sure that, you know, even before they come, that they understand what is expected of them, like in a program like ours, like what the expectations are in terms of, you know, participating, like Danielle was saying before, or in their recovery in a 12-step program, participating in outpatient treatment, or just some of the requirements of the house so that everything is out in the open. Having forms for them to sign, related to rules and regulations so that there are no surprises and that everything really is, understood and explained fully, both before they come in and then, of course, like when they come in for their intake, when they move in. But that really is critical between rules, financial agreements, just making sure that people feel comfortable and that they're aware of and that they have the opportunity to read it, sign it,
Yes.
and have copies if they would like,
Yeah. And they should have copies.
Yes.
Because it shouldn't just be left up to maybe a treatment provider that's sending them there, but there should be an involvement from everyone, because I want to know that you're safe. I want to know that you're okay. When Thomas went to a Seafield house, did I do all of that? No, I did not, because I didn't know that. I said, well, it's Seafield, so of course they're going to have things set up. And they did. Seafield along with you guys run better houses. They have the staff there. They understand what it is, right? But there are a lot of people capitalizing on a vulnerable population right now. So if you can charge, and we'll use round numbers, if you have 4 guys in a room and you have 5 bedrooms and there's 20 guys paying you $600 a month and you're not providing food, $12,000, certainly not going to be the cost of running the house for 1 month. So we can talk about there's some big numbers that can really come down. But I found it very interesting because you two run really good houses. Your homeowner's insurance, you have a problem because you do have Narcan in the house. That's not okay.
No.
For me.
Yeah, that was for liability insurance.
Yes.
Yes.
Because going through everything, because Thomas's Hope is going to have some big space that will be having your residents over to, I can't wait. But again, there was a lot of questions about who does Narcan trainings. Mm-hmm. Do you bring in an outside? There was a whole big thing there. So if I had, if I kept Coca-Cola syrup at home or poison control substances, my homeowners wouldn't be affected, right?
Yep.
But why Narcan?
I tried to, explain to the company that you want Narcan there. That's a good thing. Like, if we didn't, that would be an issue. Please cancel our policy if we don't have Narcan in a home that's supposed to be, for people in recovery.
Yes.
And they did not see it that way. So
it's just, again, taking advantage where money can be made. And unfortunately, that's what it comes down to.
Unfortunately, even throwing out that number, that's what it does cost on a monthly basis to keep houses going, up to
a good house.
Yeah.
A good house.
Because when you're paying into certain things like...
but $12,000 without food for 20 people.
And no services and no staff
and no services,
testing and no...
Right, and no anything.
Yes.
So in your house, how often do we test? Just randomly?
Randomly, but as far as our house management, they are required to test a certain amount of times a week.
Okay.
So, whether it be 2 times per week for an individual or a minimum of once a week. So no matter what, once a week, everyone's being tested, which includes also alcohol strips, the 80-hour alcohol strips. So,
and you have to do that because you want to keep people, you don't want to keep them intimidated or on their toes, but accountable.
Exactly. And it's a good feeling, It
is a good feeling.
I can pass a drug test today.
I can pass a drug test today. Yeah. And of course you have all the food, you have taxes, you have heat, right? Electricity, water, garbage, sewage, all of those things, and the repairs.
And also the services and activities that we provide as well. The guys just went to the trampoline park.
I know, I just saw that. So because that really is unheard of in any other house. So let's talk about the fun things that you guys do, because this is what life should be like in recovery.
So, that piece is really important because it helps them to bond, you know, as a community, but also helps them to have fun in recovery and see that, you know, their lives don't have to be small because they're recovering. Like there are, you know, whether it's, you know, finding like a hobby or like a passion for the first time or returning to things that they used to enjoy to do. So whether it's, you know, like I was saying, the guys went to the trampoline park this past week, they'll go bowling, they'll do movie nights. We did the escape room with the men's and the women's houses. So we always try to find, you know, something fun, like a fun, you know, recreational activity for them.
That's so important because, you know, especially young people, so we always go back there. What do most young people do? They go out on Friday night or Saturday night to a club to, you know, they don't think outside of that box. But when you can think outside the box and be exposed to other activities, you're going to bring that back to your own family.
Exactly, and just learning how to, again, incorporate productive, you know, healthy fun, you know, with your peers, and to really be able to experience that sincere joy, you know, or again, just having fun.
Exactly, joy. I know the men's houses, if they have something, then the women have to get the same, and vice versa, which I think is hysterical. So it's like siblings in competition. Well, you took them last week, so what are we going to do? But you do Reiki. You do you do acupuncture in the house?
Yeah, so every month all the houses get a monthly calendar. So even for this upcoming month, every second Tuesday of the month, a Reiki practitioner comes in to separate houses, to both the women's house and to the men's house. This upcoming month we also have a nutritionist coming in to do a workshop on nutrition recovery. We also have a music therapist coming in, stress management. Also this month, we are going to be starting to work with a horse farm, which everyone is so excited about. Like, everyone's just so excited to have that opportunity.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the beach will be coming up. You have really, you're out east a little bit, so we have the Pine Barrens and things. Do they do hiking and
So these upcoming months we really want the opportunity to start exploring just different options, in which too, like, we get feedback from the houses, like, what would you like to do? If it hasn't been something that we've brought to, you know, to the houses before, we always want options, because again, you know, too, being in recovery and being substance free today, you get to explore like what you like to do, you know, what works for you, what you enjoy, being active, you know, all the things that were really robbed from people when, you know, in the prison of active addiction.
That's a great way to put it. You know, so Reiki, I love alternative therapies, Reiki, yoga, acupuncture, and you hit on something that my younger son too loves, is nutritional.
Yep.
You know, when you eat right and your cells get healthy, there's a certain way that you feel. Yeah. When you eat crap, you feel like crap, right?
Absolutely.
So I know that I mean, well, you have a lot of good stuff to eat too. I saw the
But even with that, you know, to even see the input and engagement, you know, just from the women and men in the houses, like just this past weekend, the women were like, when can we go get veggies for the garden? You know, that they're taking initiative because, you know, again, this is, you know, something that they want to see.
They want a vegetable garden in the back. So, and what a great availability to do all of those things. Not keep me away from any garden. Everything.
And it shows that that's their home. You know, it's their garden. It's something that they want to do, like in the place that they live. You know, which is.
You know what's great is you have the barbecue in the backyard. You have patio furniture. It's home. It's not. You know, it's going to plop down in the kitchen or lay on the floor or wherever you want to be and watch a movie and just chill out and relax. And it's comfortable. It is home.
And that's really what we strive to see, you know, for any one of our recovery homes, is that when someone's walking in, they feel safe. They feel like they are at home. And it's great to get that feedback, you know, to know like that's what they felt, you know, when initially coming in. You know, and that's what they continue to feel and also recreate for that new woman or a new man walking through the doors.
Do you have any of your previous residents that now work for you?
Yes. So, well, for one of our former house managers, Jessica McNamara, they're not related.
Okay.
But she serves on our board of directors, which
That's
was
awesome.
really important for us, to have just that different aspect, being a former house manager, also working in the field, and to have that real strong connection of what our mission is.
Yeah, well, it is important. That's why you can be a clinician and say, well, yeah, it's important for the family to be involved, but you don't know what it is to be the family.
Yeah.
So you always need to have all different perspectives and no one should be criticizing anybody else's perspective. I was just reading an article this morning on the grief of a sibling losing a sibling. And I appreciate that, but I've never lost a sibling. So although I can appreciate it, I can't feel it. So you have to give, credence where it is.
Yeah.
And I know that I'll be training some of your
Yes.
peeps in recovery coaching, which is just different language. It's different language.
And that's what we want to be able to provide to our house managers, because again, they're residing there. They're working directly with, the residents of their homes on a daily basis, to be able to provide, additional training, and even to, just opening the mind to maybe using, different language, and even to, just gaining that knowledge, that education is extremely important.
And you can't treat everyone with the same, you can't paint everybody with the same brush. So there's all different modalities that work for everybody. And if you're not familiar with other things, how do you get that? Having the wherewithal to appreciate that you may have to reach someone differently. And having the willingness to say, I can't reach this person. Why don't you know what? I think you guys are perfect for them. So do you, so I know we talk about younger people, but what's the oldest resident that you've had or have?
I think our oldest resident was 75.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we have a great, even too, like right now, a balance, which is great. I think people are hesitant either way. They don't want to come into a house, or the loved ones don't want their, loved one to come into a house that's going to be all younger people,
right.
Or let's say it's a younger person, is there going to be people my age?
Right.
But we see, age does not discriminate. And also, I remember, I think it was actually going to the escape room, and it was like a car full of younger guys and one older guy, and he was just having the time of his life.
I bet. Well,
It didn't matter.
there should be no age. So you should always be able to be an idiot. That's how I look at life. Just have fun and just be in the moment that you are, right?
Yeah.
So open yourself up. And I think, when we separate them, older people can learn so much from a new generation, or just teach them to be silly again. And younger people may not have had the mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whatever it may be, in their lives. So to be able to feel that it's a different love. It's a different love. That's all it is.
And too, even coming in, everyone, is there for the primary purpose, and that's to really build and maintain a foundation for their recovery. So everyone's speaking, hopefully a similar language, with the same ultimate goal. And again, that's building and maintaining that foundation in recovery. So regardless if you're, 18 years old or 75, they're there for the same reason with that same goal. And we have that now. Our youngest client right now is 18 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. We spoke about the 18-year-old, and what, it's just sad. It's sad what people struggle with and suffer through in today's world. It just is. There's a lot of too much dysfunction. It's too much dysfunction. A lot of pain.
That's also the beautiful thing with recovery, that they have that shared experience, and just, again, that similar language, that they're all there for the same reason.
And I love that we talked about, I love standing in the solution. So we have to stop talking about what all the problems are. You have 4 houses that are the solution for 40 people? How many people do we, how many residents do we have total?
38.
38. So that's amazing. But you need to recreate yourself a lot.
We like
A
to
lot.
focus on, what we can do and what is working and on the solution and the successes and the miracles that we have the privilege of seeing every day, because we get to see people where they live. It's
Yeah.
different from like a treatment environment. It's different from like a short-term like detox or inpatient or, a clinical setting. Like we get to see people like really change like where they live. And that really,
To see
it's
joy.
amazing. Exactly.
See joy come
Yeah.
back, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I love that, because why be happy if you never worry about what you don't have and only concentrate on what you do have? You have joy. So stop, don't worry about what you don't have, because that can cut both ways, right?
Yeah.
Can be a lot of, people always think money and this and that brings happiness. Often happiness is found inside. So watching people come back to life, because listen, everyone says, well, treatment doesn't work. When someone is entrenched in treatment, told when to wake up, when to go to group, when, so structured, so important. But the key is to be able to translate that to life.
Exactly.
And that's really what you do. So we can't do this and then have it fall off and have people go right back to get a job, do this, it's stages. It should always be just one step. Let's go down one more step. Like teaching a baby how to walk. They're going to fall every once in a while, but watching somebody just learn how to cook, how to wash dishes. There's a novel. I would like to send, my younger son just for that. Because somehow it magically gets cleaned out of the sink all the time.
But it shows too, like responsibility.
Yes.
When you leave here and you have your own permanent housing, like, are you going to leave all your dishes in the sink?
Right.
And these are just little behaviors. Again, how are you living when no one's looking?
How are you? That's the perfect way to say it. The perfect. But I think we all do that when you're at home.
Yeah.
You kind of slide a little bit. I remember getting married and moving out, and my house was like always spotless. My mother would be like, "Really? Well, your clothes are away." Yes.
But you could see too, like the XA, recovery house, what's a pet peeve, and it's those dishes in the sink. But you see too the accountability that starts to take place, of even someone taking ownership. Okay, that was mine.
That was right. Well, there's going to be 9 other people that say,
Exactly.
"Hello, step up," because nobody wants to do it then. Because
Working
you get
it out,
tired of it.
Working it out between themselves, like as a house.
Coping skills.
Exactly. Yes.
This is unacceptable. I realize you didn't feel well the other night. I took care of it, but you got to step up and take care of your own stuff. Mm-hmm. And each residence, they do their own laundry, right?
Yeah, we have dryers and washers at all of the houses, laundry detergent, so everyone's responsible for their own laundry. Laundry day, too, which is even, too, time management or, being
When you got 10 people
courteous.
living in a house.
Yep.
Got to be scheduled.
Oh, it's got to be everything scheduled then. I grew up in a family of 7 with 1.5 bathrooms, so yeah.
Wow, yep.
There's no lounging.
Yes.
That's great.
But even with that, too, like we were talking about, there's so much shame and guilt often, for people in early recovery, even, too, like with self-esteem. So even by, engaging in, those daily living skills, it's an opportunity, too, how to get self-esteem. You engage in esteemable acts, living the right way, even when no one else is looking, being accountable, being responsible, being an active role in your life.
Your environment is often a reflection of how you feel inside your mind.
Exactly.
So it is important. I think when you learn, again, how to clean up or make dinner, clean up, have people compliment you on your food, it is a boost. It's always a boost. It's a question for you. everyone, how long do they have to go to outpatient while they're living with you guys?
So we don't dictate what their treatment schedule is or what their needs are clinically. So that is up to their outpatient provider where they do the treatment piece. So we don't say, oh, a brand new resident needs to start at IOP. Like we don't have any, say in that. That is really based on, what their clinical need is.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many 12-step meetings a week do we encourage?
7 in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I mean the least
one a
it goes,
day.
the least amount it goes down to is phase 4, and that's 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's, that's learning to live in recovery and being, when you work in recovery, recovery will work. When you start to drift away and say, oh, I was sitting with everybody today, so that counts as a meeting.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Right?
Yeah. And again, it's, for that beginning opportunity to really have, that time and space to build a strong foundation for your recovery, and really learning how to have that balance, especially if it's someone transitioning into employment or school or even getting ready to return home, let's say if it is mom, dad, or just returning to that home life. If you weren't able to maintain, a meeting attendance while in a recovery home, how are you going to do that when you have all these other playing parts?
Yeah. Yeah. How, when someone first enters, I know they have a buddy for how many weeks?
For 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So that buddy goes every place with them?
Right. So if they're going to run an errand or, go out to a meeting or, they're just going out anywhere like outside the house except for treatment, or if someone is returning to work right away, that, is an exception. But otherwise, they do have a buddy with them, which is a higher level resident to be there, with them as they make that, those initial moves like coming into the house.
And curfews?
So those are based on what phase they're in. So after the 2-week buddy system, it starts out at 10:30 p.m. throughout the week. And then as they, move up in a phase after 30 days, they have a 10:30 p.m. curfew during the week, 11:30 on the weekends. They can also sleep out twice a month at that point. So it's a gradual transition. And then after 60 days, their curfew extends to midnight on the weekends, and they can sleep out 4 times a month. So the goal is for them to feel like not like they're going from like a bubble, into, wherever their next step is, whether it's returning home or, getting their own place or something like that, where they have that opportunity to transition, and it's gradual, step by step.
That's cool.
And even for overnights, they get to come home to the house where they have that, support again.
Yes. Do you ask where they're sleeping out at?
We ask, but we don't necessarily approve where they're sleeping.
Or disapprove.
Because it's meant to be like they're making independent choices.
Yes.
So if a sheet is turned in with where they're staying, it might not be a great choice. The opportunity for the conversation is there.
Okay.
But to help them, to guide them in a better choice. But we want to know where they are, like for safety reasons, rather than saying yes, no.
Okay.
And that's a big thing even too. Sometimes, even if they know, it might be something that the house manager is going to bring up, they're still being honest and at least putting it on the paper, because someone could very easily lie. That's why. Absolutely. Even for meeting logs, maybe they didn't meet, the required amount. I always like when I'm like, they were honest though,
that's important.
Yeah,
it's very
absolutely.
important, because it's, it's pretty easy that you could just say whatever, but when you're honest, at least you can then have the conversation. But why did that happen this week?
Exactly.
And maybe, what do you do if there's a one-time offense? Do you step them back in their phase or hold them a little bit more accountable?
Depending on what the situation is, it's always, a verbal conversation. What's going on in your life that this happened?
Okay.
Is there anything going on? But let's say if it's, something that continues to occur, there's verbal warnings or behavioral written, not contracts, because not to be a punishment, but to hold someone accountable.
Right.
This is what happened. This is what we expect to see, like, moving forward.
Okay. What is cause for removal from a house?
We have a zero tolerance policy, so it's never just, kicking someone out on the street, as long as that person's willing, helping that referral process, whether it be, a crisis center, or if they're able to, if they need a higher level of care, and that's what the recommendation is from their treatment provider, giving them the opportunity for that to happen.
And then they can come back?
Yes. Yep.
That's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Listen, people are going to fall. It's all in the hand up. Thank you guys
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank
you for having
Next
us.
time we're going to do the single housing
Yes.
initiative. Thank you. So, there's so much to learn about recovery housing. If you have any problems whatsoever, Thomas's Hope number is right there. We can help you sort out the facts and, just be part of your solution. Have a great week. Enjoy, and happy May, almost.